Lauderdale squad, my girl Tracy, who's repping for BRCASTRONG, a nonprofit that I absolutely love to the moon and back. Now, Arlene, I met you at Cycle Bar Aventura. You're one of my incredible instructors. And, you know, we followed each other on Instagram, and I wouldn't say maybe 6 months after I had a class with you, you slid in my DMs and you were like, oh my God, I'm going to be at this event that you're hosting. And it was an event for BRCASTRONG. And you mentioned that you had actually just, you know, found out that you carried the BRCA2 gene on a sheer fluke, right?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
So I found out I carry the BRCA2 genetic mutation earlier this year, and it was a fluke. I just went into my OBGYN. She asked my family history, told her she recommended the test. I'd never even heard of it before. Got the results, and it was a shock. That was when I learned about what it is, which basically means I'm 87% higher chance of getting breast cancer,
right?
and then 30% for gynecological. And that was obviously, you know, difficult news. And after finding that out, I just took to Instagram trying to find more information. And I found Tracy in BRCASTRONG just 2 weeks after I found out. And she was actually hosting that event 2 minutes walking from where I was living at the time. So it was kind of serendipitous. It was a difficult time, but that's how I got hooked up with her and her organization, and met so many incredible women, survivors, previvors, so many doctors, and that's kind of how
God makes absolutely no mistakes. I'm a firm believer in that, and just watching you interact at that event with the team that works with BRCASTRONG, I mean, really it is the greatest medical minds that we have access to here in South Florida. And we're very lucky. We've got so many incredible medical organizations, whether it's Baptist Health, whether it's Sylvester, whether it's, Memorial Healthcare. We really are very lucky here in South Florida. I know we've got incredible research happening at Nova Southeastern University. Shout out to Dr. Jean Latimer there and her incredible team. So I feel like you're in great hands, but I can't imagine how daunting that must be. I mean, you're not even 30 yet, right?
28.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to put your age on blast, but I think it's so important because oftentimes when we talk about breast cancer, many of us that know people that have been, affected are older people in our families, right? A lot of people think of it as a postmenopausal type of cancer, which if you get breast cancer postmenopausal, your likelihood of surviving is much higher, correct? Than if you get it younger. And actually, the younger you get it, usually the more aggressive breast cancer is. And unfortunately, most young women aren't thinking they're getting breast cancer, which means they present later stage, which is very scary, especially since certain organizations, again, have started to shy away from self-examinations. That's where when we talk about your actual family history is so important. And you got BRCA2 from
my dad. So there's really, I didn't even know that was possible, and women really are getting cancer younger and younger. So it's so important to know that genetic testing is an option if you have family history on your either side. And in men, the gene actually manifests as prostate cancer. So I had prostate in my family, prostate cancer. Didn't know that was linked to this gene whatsoever. So and my sister's even younger. She also has the gene.
But she got tested because you found out that
correct. All no, and it's a much better position
of
to
course.
be in. So
you're saving people in your family's lives. So again, when we go back to talking about that family history, it's such an important conversation to have. I know it can be uncomfortable, but please, if you're young and listening, and by young I'm talking about if you're in your teens all the way through your early 40s and you haven't sat down and had that conversation with the matriarchs in your family, if you still are lucky enough to have your grandmother or your aunts, your great aunts, your mother, make them talk to you. You know what I mean? Sit them down and be like, listen, lady, let's have a combo. And also talk to the men in your life if they know the history of their family members, whether they're male or female, because fellas, you can get breast cancer too. Just so you know, I've been actually schooled on that by folks, like especially over the last few years. They get very offended that we never really discuss men being impacted by breast cancer, but you definitely can. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Y'all should be doing self-examinations as well. And if you know your history, you're more likely to be able to catch it in advance, or at least you'll be aware of it. Again, Tracy, really quickly, how can people